Mapbox. I was supposed to talk about the Mapbox stack, but I'm not going to. I'm going to talk about design at Mapbox instead, because actually I'm a designer at Mapbox. To be more concrete, I'm a communication designer at Mapbox, and to be even more concrete, I'm the only communication designer at Mapbox. So I basically want to talk about some of the biggest challenges I faced during my first year at Mapbox. And that, like, the biggest challenge is, like, how do you create a design system that scales with a fast-growing company? To start with, I'm going to, like, talk a little bit about myself. In the meantime, I'm going to, like, show this video of my portfolio so you guys know what kind of stuff that I do. So just like many other people in this room, I'm from Belgium. I grew up in Brussels and moved to Ghent to do a master's degree in graphic design. But after graduating from that degree, I realized I was actually way more interested in interaction design. So I found this amazing program called Development and Design, which a lot of you are probably very familiar with. So after working my ass off for 3 years, I got the opportunity to do an internship in Washington, D.C. through the Washington Center. And yeah, after like 3 months into my internship, they hired me and I never came, no, that's not true. I did go back to Belgium to graduate, but I basically stayed here. But yeah, enough about me. Let's talk a little bit about Mapbox. So for the people who don't know what Mapbox is, we are a platform for developers and designers to build or create maps for their own apps or website. So what we do is we build tools for you guys to do amazing stuff with maps. I'll make this a little bit more concrete by showing some examples. Like, for instance, you guys have probably seen the Foursquare map before. And as you can see, it's not the typical Apple map or Google map that you're used to seeing. This one has like a very specific typography, a very specific color palette, and it uses patterns because that's the way Foursquare wanted it to look. And we actually offer the tools for people to make stuff like this. So this one was made with Mapbox Studio, one of our design tools. Another really cool example is Pinterest. Pinterest wanted to have like a really bold looking map that like fits their personality. And as you can see, it uses like the hand-drawn typography and like really cool looking markers. So that is also made with Mapbox Studio. And they like add integration with our Mapbox.js API. Another example that you guys are probably familiar with is Github. So we designed a base map for Github to show data visualizations on. So whenever you're trying to open up a GeoJSON file or like another geo-related file, it will actually show up on a Mapbox map. We designed this map to be like very subtle, like not too many like labels or like unnecessary information, but just like the thing that you need. Then there's like this other product that some of you might know, probably the ladies in the room, Etsy, who also uses Mapbox. But it's not just like these kind of brands. It's also a lot of newspapers who use Mapbox because we're offering like a lot of customization for like data visualization. So for instance, the Washington Post uses us like almost every day to like show articles or like support maps that like talk about certain things. Another great example is Financial Times. They actually like designed this base map. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but you can see that like the map they designed has like really desaturated colors that go very well with their brand. And they did that with Mapbox Studio. But it's not just America. People in Europe also use Mapbox. Like for instance, one of the biggest newspapers in France uses Mapbox on their website. But also like in America, USA Today uses us for like weather visualizations. And then I just wanted to show this one because I really liked what they did with Mapbox. And if you ever want to do a road trip in America, you should definitely use their app because it's amazing. So yeah, I mentioned that we have a couple of design tools. Right now, we have our online editor. We have Mapbox Studio, and we're working really hard on a third one, which will be the GL editor. So the online editor, I'm just going to go over them very briefly. But the online editor is for people who are not really interested in designing a map, so they don't have like really time to design a map, but they do want to have a map that looks a little bit more special than what you would get from Google or Apple. So we actually designed 15 like predefined styles for you that you can pick from, and like depending on like what you want to do, you can like choose a different map. So for instance, this one that I'm showing here has elevation data in it. So if you want to build an app for like hikers, it's very interesting to have this data in it. So besides like being able to pick a map style, you can also add data on it. So you can like add custom markers to the map. You can import GeoJSON files. You can draw shapes or lines, or you can like do a lot of stuff with the map. And then you can just embed it into your website, or use the map ID to use it with some of our other tools like our Mapbox.js API or our iOS or Android SDKs. So then there's Mapbox Studio, which is actually an application that you download onto your computer, which allows you to style maps in like a totally crazy way. You can like do whatever you want to do with this. So this is a map I designed for Ghent, and it's based on like this code, or like, yeah, it's like called Carter CSS, and it's based on CSS, but it's also like a little bit like LAS or SAS in a way that it uses variables and functions to do certain things. So what I'm doing here right now is, or like what I did right now, so now I'm going to change the color of the waterways, and just by like changing this one setting, the map looks like completely different. So there's a lot that you can do with this, but the hard part about using Mapbox Studio is that the learning curve is kind of steep. It like takes a lot of time to like know all the properties that you can use, and there's like so much you can do with it, but it like takes some time to like get used to it. So that's why we're working on this new thing, the Mapbox.js editor, which will be basically the like Photoshop for maps, because it's not going to require any code. It's going to be just with like sliders and entering numbers, and it's going to be amazing. But besides these design tools, we also have a bunch of developer tools. So I already mentioned Mapbox.js a couple of times and like the iOS or Android SDK, but we have like way more. We have geocoding, we have directions, and we even have our like own GIS tool called Turf. So the biggest takeaway here is that Mapbox is a very powerful but complex product. And like unlike a lot of other companies, we don't just offer one product. We offer like a bunch of different products for like different types of users. So that brings me back to the question, like, how do you create a design system that scales with like a company that is growing this fast? Because like most of the tools that I was showing you now, we like didn't have a year ago. So how do you like maintain a system that can grow at the same pace as your company is growing? And that was like my biggest challenge when I started at Mapbox, because I'm the only communication designer. So like it's kind of my responsibility to tell the world what we're up to. So let's go back to what Mapbox used to be when I started. So this was our homepage, and it was doing a fine job. It was just fine. It didn't have much personality, and it wasn't doing a great job at communicating what Mapbox was. Like visiting our website wasn't a pleasure or like a memorable experience, or it wasn't like pleasurable at all. So an interesting thing to know about Mapbox, or like being a designer at Mapbox, is that Mapbox is a flat company. So there's like no managers telling me what to do, or like no creative directors telling me what project I should work next on. It's all about like taking responsibility and just like making sure the product gets better. And that requires a lot of trust. So every person that we hire at Mapbox, we like really trust that person to do the best they can to make Mapbox a better product. So when I came back in June to like start full-time at Mapbox, I thought it was like my responsibility to do a better job at communication design. So I decided to do a complete Mapbox redesign. It was not just a visual design, like visual design was a part of it, but it was also like restructuring our website in order to tell a better story and to like, in order to communicate to the people what Mapbox is actually doing. But a big part of that was creating a brand. So if you like think back at the website that I just showed you, it was doing a fine job at being functional. Like Mapbox, you can do functional things with Mapbox. That's fine. We're very reliable in a way. Like our server uptime is 99.9%. That's really good. And besides that, we have like an impeccable support team. So whenever you are stuck on something or have issues, there's always people to help you out. We're also very usable. Like most people like can figure out how to use Mapbox, but we're not really pleasurable. So that was like the extra thing that I like really wanted to add to our brand, or like the brand that didn't really exist at that time. So there's this whole theory about emotions and about like emotional experiences being more memorable, and it makes sense. Like you're more likely to remember a very happy moment of the past or like a terrible moment of the past, but you're less likely to remember, oh, that normal day where nothing extraordinary happened. Like no one will remember that. And the same thing applies to design. So what I tried to do was create this like emotional experience, and like hopefully a positive emotional experience, so people would remember us. And not just remembering us, but also like would really love to use us. So even like if they didn't need to use us at this time, they would still remember us for the future. And like if they ever needed a map in the future, they would like go back to Mapbox because they like really remembered the map at the Mapbox website. So a couple of things I did like very concretely is like the color palette. Like our color palette, or the ones that we picked, conveys a sense of fun, but it's still not childish. So that's like, it's very tricky to like work with very saturated colors and illustrations and not make it too childish, because like our complex, so we want to make it very accessible and friendly, but we also don't want to like dumb it down because it's a powerful tool. So yeah, having these colors was like one step closer to making or like building a brand around Mapbox. Another thing I did was think about typography. So the font that we were using was Futura, and Futura is a great font. I love it. But for Mapbox, it was just like a little bit too serious. Like we needed it to be a little bit more accessible and friendly because everything that we were communicating was already like too overwhelming. So we needed it to be just like a little bit more fun than it used to be. And like having this Brandon font in combination with like the other typography we have. So what I try to achieve with that is making like a very easy to understand hierarchy. So we use a lot of different like font sizes and weights to communicate a content hierarchy. So whenever you will look at a Mapbox.com website or like just a page, just by looking at the typography hierarchy, you will understand what is more important and what is less important. And then the next thing I did is create a general style around Mapbox. So we didn't have many visual elements. Like the website mainly existed out of photos and typography. And I really felt the need to like have some illustrations to support whatever we were trying to communicate. Because if you scroll down like on a page and you see like a heading supported by an illustration that like tells the same thing, you already know what the page is about without having to read like a whole paragraph, which makes it just like a more pleasurable and easier to understand experience. But just like everything at Mapbox, making this brand is an iterative process. It's not because like last year in July, I decided that these colors would be the Mapbox colors, that there's like no room for experimenting with new things. So a couple of months ago, we felt the need to like add a couple of more colors because another project required more colors. And that's like a really important thing to keep in mind. You can never, like in a company growing as fast as Mapbox, you can never stop a project. It's not like you're ever going to be finished with a project. You'll always like have to like keep moving. So to tie this back to my like general question, like why does this matter? Like why does having a brand matter for like a fast-growing company? To us, it matters a lot because Mapbox is actually like a startup in an industry where there's already a lot of established companies. Like our main competition is Apple and Google. So we really need a visual brand that stands out to the competition and that is authentic, because authentic brands, people trust them. If you have like a crappy brand and like a lot of different styles combined, people are less likely to trust you. So that was like the one thing I was trying to achieve, and like I hope a thing that we can maintain is like having like this brand, and it's not just in the branding. So we have a lot of personality in like our visual style, but it's also our voice. Like if you would follow Mapbox on Twitter, which you should all do, you'll see that we have like a specific way of communicating, which is like a little bit more fun than our competition. Because I mean, they're big companies, it's different. I don't think they can do it. So that second thing I want to talk about is designing for scale. So Mapbox is a startup that is growing the entire time. And it's growing in two ways. So one of them is a team. When I started in January last year, there were about 30 people. Right now, I think we just hit 90. So we're growing really fast. But beside the team that is scaling, our stack is also scaling really fast. So how do you make sure that the design system scales with the company? Because since I'm the only one like designing the website, I don't want to have to like spend time with every new person we hire to like explain them, oh, but you should use this font and like these are our colors. Like I don't have time for that because I have more important things to do. So that's why we have this framework called Base. It's kind of a CSS framework. So it's definitely not like a brand style guide. We're not like telling you, oh, you can only use our logo on like a white background and like 200 pixels wide. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to like create a very flexible framework that allows people to like experiment. But this is like the framework that we use for all of our tools. So the Mapbox.com website uses Base, but also our tools like Mapbox Studio, the editor, and even like more development-focused projects will use Base. So I'll just like show a couple of the things that we have here. So for instance, we have these button styles. We have form elements. We have all of our colors. We have like these functions to like lighten or darken certain things, which are very helpful when you're designing like UIs for like Mapbox Studio, for instance, but I'll show you this later. And then we have like this big like font it's actually an icon font that we have with like a lot of different icons, and you can like very easily add new icons to them. So whenever you feel the need to like use a different icon or a new icon that we don't have yet, it's like very easy to update this, and anyone at Mapbox can do this. Now we have like a couple of helper classes to like do a lot of the things that we do just a lot in general. But for instance, this is TwoFix. It's a tool built by a developer at Mapbox. So he has like no design background at all, but in general, this looks pretty okay. And you can like see the typography, you can see the buttons, you can see the icons. It's all using base. And this is amazing because this guy was like developing this tool. This is actually a tool to like fix mistakes in OpenStreetMap, if anyone is interested in this. But this is amazing because I didn't have to spend time with him to make sure that the design was great. I could focus on other things that were more important to me at that time. But that also, first I'm going to show another screenshot. So this really doesn't look too bad for like being built by a developer that like doesn't know anything about design. This is actually pretty amazing. And then another example is Mapbox Studio. Like you can see like the lighten filters that I was talking about, or like the typography or the icons, they're all coming from base. So having developers design at Mapbox is great because it saves me time and I can focus on the things that I want to focus on. But you also like really need to trust the people that you work with. And to be able to trust people, you really need an open environment. And another tool that really helps us to maintain this open environment is GitHub. And I assume you all use GitHub, but I'm pretty sure you don't use it in the way that we use it. We use it for everything. All our communication is on GitHub, literally everything. Whenever we want to work on a project, we'll make a ticket in the like repo that we want to work on, and we like frame to the entire team why we're changing something, what the like goals are, and how this will be good for Mapbox in the future. And then so everyone can see anything, so everyone can follow all the stuff that our coworkers are working on. And whenever I read something that I like strongly disagree on, even though it's not my project, I can like jump in and be like, hey, I don't think we should do it this way because those reasons. And people can either like ignore it or like listen to me. But it's like, you can like see what people are working on the entire time, which makes trusting each other not that hard. Because it's not like people will be working on a project for like 3 months and then all of a sudden, hey guys, it's live, and like no one knew what they were doing. This is a like more concrete example of like how that works. This was a ticket I posted when I was working on a redesign, and then Garrett, who wasn't even on the project, commented back with some like feedback from me, which is great. It's like just like if you have time to comment back, I'm happy to hear your feedback. If not, that's fine as well. And another way that GitHub really helps us scale as a design team is that you can always go back in history. Like for instance, there's this one ticket like Futura versus Lovelo where we had like this big design discussion about which font we should be using. So if anyone new ever like comes in and wonders like, why are we using this font? They can either like ask me and like waste an hour of my day for like me trying to explain them why this happened, or they can like go back on GitHub, read the ticket, and actually like know what happened. So there's like a lot of history, and like basically every decision we ever made is on GitHub, which like really helps us as a company to like save time basically and move fast whenever we need to move fast. And I already mentioned this before, but at a company like Mapbox that is growing as fast as it is, there's like no time to spend like 3 months working on a project and trying to make it as perfect as possible. You like need to be able to like step back, try to like make a project as good as you can make it at that time, launch it, and then reiterate. A good example of that is the Mapbox homepage. So the first one is whatever we launched in July, and the last one is what we came up with like probably a month ago. What you see in the second screenshot is that we added a section about Mapbox Studio. The first one didn't have this because we hadn't launched Mapbox Studio yet. The third one has like this section with all of our industry pages. These are like pages very specific for like real estate, transportation, government, like just telling those industries how Mapbox could be helpful for them. And that was just something that we like needed at that time. But whenever we were working on the redesign, we didn't feel like we needed those pages. And then when you like look at the last one, we have like way more developer tools because our team is working so hard to make more tools for you guys to use. So like a design will never be finished. You will always like need to like go back, make changes, and it's just like a living thing. And I think like being okay with that, like being okay with like pushing something live that you're not 100% happy with is a hard thing to do, but it just helps a company. And then the last thing, and probably the most important thing to me, is taking ownership. So I already told you guys that Mapbox is a flat company, which means that there's like no one telling me what to do or like no one telling me what to work next on. So whenever I see something that I think is bad or that can be better, it's probably bad and probably can be better. So the fact that we like trust each other in making decisions gives us the opportunity to take ownership of our project. So that basically means that whenever I want to do something, I can just do it. I don't like need to go to someone and like ask them, hey, is it okay if I do this? And the way that we can do this is because designers at Mapbox are not just designers. Like, I'm a designer, I'm a developer, I'm a communicator, I do like every single step of the process. So a good example is something that I'm working on right now. I wanted to like redesign the blog, not just because I was not happy with how it looked visually, but also because it could be way better functionally. So I just like started a ticket on GitHub. I framed why I thought we should do this, or why I thought I should do this. And I just like got started. And like along the way, I can like ask other people to help me out if I like really need someone to help me out. But in general, like taking ownership is about you being able to just like own a project, finish it, launch it, and be done with, not be done with it because you like need to reiterate, but like be done with it without having to bug too many other people or like without having to like take up too much time of other people, which is really important because our company, like I already mentioned a couple of times, is moving so fast that we need every single person at Mapbox to work at what they want to work on at that time. Another great example is our industry pages. So no one ever told me like, hey, maybe you should like make these industry pages. But I was just like talking to Jeff, who's a sales guy at Mapbox. We're just like chatting about work. And he was like telling me how he kept getting these emails about people like real estate agents asking them, hey, do you have like some concrete examples of like how we can use Mapbox? And we're like, no, we don't have that. Wait, why don't we have that? We should have that. So we started building out this first page, real estate. And then like a couple of weeks later, we got like this other company emailing us like, yeah, I'm a transport company. I want to do something, but like I can't quite figure out how to do it. So we built like 12 different pages for like 12 different industries to like show them how to do it. And this is all just like me working together with someone from the sales team and me just being a designer, but also being a developer, being able to like do all of it. And of course, I like asked for help to, like for some of the copy because like English is not my native language. I like needed some help, but in general, I did like probably 90% of the work here, and that was great because like other people could like still focus on building out Mapbox Studio or working on our GL editor, and we could all like keep moving at the like same pace that we were moving before. So yeah, that was like basically what I wanted to share with you guys. We have dogs at Mapbox, which is really nice. If you guys have any questions or are like more interested in like learning about Mapbox, you should definitely like either hit me up on Twitter or come talk to me during the break. Or like if you guys have questions right now, I think I have like a little bit more time. Yeah. Yeah. No, so it's an internal tool. It's not like, we've had people use it before because everything we do is open on GitHub and we like also try to like open source almost everything that we do. But then we just like send an email and like kindly ask them to like not do it because it just like defines the Mapbox style and we'd rather not have other people like use our visual style in their projects. Oh. So, oh, sorry. He was asking of if our GitHub tickets are public. It kind of depends on which repo the tickets are in. So most of our code is public. Not all the tickets are public, but most of them are as well. But it really depends on the like repo you're working on. Like for instance, I don't think the Mapbox.com repo is public, but then like for instance, the Mapbox Studio repo, where we like actually build the tools, that one is public. And there's like a bunch of other ones that are public. We actually have this really great page about being open. If you go to mapbox.com/about/open, I think, where we explain our like thoughts behind the idea of being an open source company. Okay, anyone else? Yes.
I don't have a question. I just want to former school.
Well, thank you. Okay, no more questions? Yeah. That's a thing we...
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, sorry. He asked me if I think the structure of the company will change when we get bigger. And that's something that we think about a lot. But for instance, GitHub is also a flat company. I'm not quite sure how to deal with it right now because they have like, what, over 700 people working at GitHub? I'm not sure. I'm just like saying a number here. I know we're like definitely going to try to maintain it like as flat as possible, like as long as we can. But I don't think anyone like knows the answer to it. But I think it's a great environment to work in. So I hope it stays like that. Yes. Oh.
From where do you get your map information? Is it OpenStreetMaps,
Yes.
Google Maps, or Bing Maps, or can you choose?
So our map data is coming from OpenStreetMap, but we also have a data team working really hard on improving this. So actually the tool that I showed you before, the to-fix tool, is a tool that we built internally to try to fix some mistakes that are in OpenStreetMap. So for the people who don't know OpenStreetMap, it's like kind of the Wikipedia for building maps. So all the data is in OpenStreetMap, but it's being added by users. So there's like, sometimes there's like wrong information in there. So we really spend a lot of time in making sure that everything that we show on a map is really accurate. And we also like update it every 5 minutes.
Questions? Oh, there was one here. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Tatiana.